Ted Williams is a former Washington, D.C. homicide detective. Ted, good morning to you. You saw Mayor de Blasio there saying what needs to be done to quell this violence, but a lot of people are putting the blame for the violence squarely on his shoulders.
Yeah, John, I realize that, and I can tell you that something needs to be done in New York and other metropolitan cities around this country. I would like to start off by saying that kids' lives matter. And when you look at the fact that a 1-year-old child was shot in the stomach and killed, an innocent child in New York, you have to get the police department and the citizens of New York to come together like they're doing today and marching from that Brooklyn Crown Heights area to the government there and police department. They've got to be able to marry each other. They've got to be able to help each other. Police officers cannot do it alone, and the citizens need police officers. Yes, you have rotten police officers. You get rid of them, but the majority of good, loving police officers are there to serve and protect. Just earlier, you had on a Michigan officer who saved the life of a child. This is what police officers do every day.
And certainly there are some bad eggs in police departments, but overwhelmingly the membership of police forces across the country appears to do good things and try to uphold the protection of the community in a lawful way. There are many people who are saying, Ted, that what we're seeing on the streets of New York and other cities is a result of this campaign to defund police. In New York City, they want to take $1 billion away from the funding of the New York City Police Department. Here's what Pat Lynch, who is the New York City Police Benevolent Association president, said about that.
You have the cowardice of our city council and the mayor's office trying to figure out what the protesters want. They're not going to stop at $1 billion. They don't want police officers on our streets. They don't want us taking the guns out of perps' belts. They don't want us keeping our children safe in school. Well, what's next?
Police representatives and many police officers are saying, look, criminals are feeling emboldened because you are talking about defunding police. You're talking about all the bad things that happen in police departments as opposed to upholding the people who are there to uphold the law. What do you say?
I say that as we speak, the criminals are watching. And they're looking at this so-called defunding or get rid of disbanding police departments. And they are laughing because they know that they are able to take over. This is the most dumb, this is the most stupidest thing that you could ever hear in our society about defunding a police department. What you need to do is to be giving them more money, not less money. We need police officers. We cannot live in a civilized society without having police officers there to serve and protect us in these communities. It is garbage to talk about defunding a police department.
So one of the big arguments, Ted, is how you get things back under control in New York City. And I don't want to be too New York-centric about it, but in New York City, they recently disbanded the anti-crime unit. Eric Adams, the Brooklyn borough president, says, quote, I think that a total elimination of the anti-crime unit is something we need to reevaluate. Right now, bad guys are saying if you don't see it blue and white, you can do whatever you want. And here's what Rudy Giuliani, who helped implement that, said earlier this morning.
That was one of the critical 5 or 6 drastic mistakes that de Blasio made. That unit, I started that unit. They're the people who straightened out Times Square for me. They're the people who straightened out Harlem and Bedford-Stuyvesant. And their expertise was taking guns from people because gun control is meaningless, right? Bad people don't control their guns.
Now, there are some people, Ted, who say that anti-crime unit had its share of problems and needed to be disbanded. But what do you think? Do we need to get back to that sort of crime prevention type of policing?
If you find that there's a problem in this anti-crime unit, then you find a way to resolve it. You do not dissolve it, because in doing so, you're giving the bad guys one hand up. Look, a cop that's in uniform is only going to make so many kinds of arrests. When you talk about having guns and people doing undercover work in police departments, Those are the plain clothes officers. You damn sight need plain clothes officers. I hope that they will reevaluate and rethink this, and they're not serving the citizens of New York by disbanding this unit.
Ted Williams, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, John.